19 years, 3 months, and 11 days before being stabbed while acting on the set of a vampire movie, Terrence, 24, had been working at the print shop for 6 months. 6 miserable months. Needless to say, it wasn't what he wanted to be doing with his life. He was an actor, not a printer, for God's sakes. Plus, he kind of felt that if he was doing something that he didn't really want to do, then he should be getting paid more to do it. So Terrence had developed a slight tardiness problem, as well as a tendency to clock out a bit early so that he could make it to his acting class on time. It had gotten to the point that the print shop owner had warned him more than once that he was in very real danger of being terminated. I'm Neil A. Yeager, and today I'm reading from my novel, Non-Hollywood. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this. And if you're liking the story that I'm telling here, please consider going to Amazon and buying a copy of Non-Hollywood or one of my other books. This is chapter 35, Terminated and the Terminator. During those 6 months, Terrence was happy to see his little daughter growing, happy to see Melanie, 23, growing so well into the role of mother. She made a beautiful mom. That side of things was great. But he hated this job. He hated that they had to continue borrowing money from both Melanie's parents and his own, which particularly bothered him as his own parents didn't exactly have a whole lot of money to begin with. And he hated that despite submitting himself for literally hundreds of roles, he was not being called in for audition. Why was this not working? For as long as he could remember, people had been telling him that he looked like a movie star. He had easily gotten those local commercials back in Indianapolis. He had easily gotten that small role in that movie. And by the way, when the hell was that thing going to come out? But so far, the acting career was not going right at all. Something had to give. The phone on the desk rang, and he picked it up and answered with the business name. It was Melanie, which immediately sent him into a mini panic as she never called him at work. Mel, is everything all right? Yeah, sorry I called you at work. It's okay. You just kind of scared me. Is everything all right? Everything's fine. We just got back from the store, and there was a message on the machine for you. It's a movie. Sounded like a religious movie, something about a street preacher out on Venice Beach or something. Anyway, they're doing auditions on Tuesday only, and they want you to come in. Oh, damn, it just had to be Tuesday, didn't it? Yeah. All right, I'll see if it's okay if I miss half a day or something. And if it's not? Terrence paused. I don't know, it's an audition, Mel. And your job is your job, Terrence. Yeah, I know. The result was a surprise to exactly no one. Terrence's request to take at least part of Tuesday off to go audition for the religious movie had been denied. He had been threatened with firing if he did take it off. So he quit. He avoided going home after he left the print shop. It was Thursday, and on Thursdays he always went straight from work to his acting class. It wouldn't seem unusual to not be home until late. As he sat in the class, awaiting his turn to do his scene, his mind naturally dwelled on what he was going to say to his wife when he got home. His thoughts were disrupted when the teacher called out his name and that of his scene partner for tonight. His scene partner was new to the group, and this would be her first scene. She had been present at last week's class, but had not participated, only assigned the scene that she would perform with Terrence this week. Terrence certainly did not want to seem mean, but looking at this girl, he did have to wonder what business she thought she was getting into. She was easily 30 pounds overweight, so unless she was a stand-up comedian or something, she was going to find a difficult road ahead. Hell, Terrence was a good-looking human being, and he was having a difficult time of it. How in the world did this girl expect to get anywhere in a place like Hollywood? At any rate, he and the girl were about to perform a scene from The Terminator. In most acting classes, you would do scenes from theater. And as every actor knew, there were a ton of theatrical scenes for sale at Samuel French Bookstore. But Paul, the acting coach who led this class, believed that those who wanted to be film actors should practice scenes from films. Thus, Terrence and the new girl were about to do the scene wherein the characters of Sarah Connor and the time traveler Kyle Reese just escaped from the Terminator. And Kyle tells the freaked out young woman about how horrible the world has become in the future. A great scene with plenty of emotion for both characters. As the two actors sat in the chairs at the front of the room, Terrence looked over and noticed that his scene partner was starting to hyperventilate. She grit her teeth together and breathed heavily, angrily, in and out. Terrence was just about to ask her if she was okay when she launched into the scene, and he realized that this was her way of expressing the intensity of the scene. After she said her first line, her breathing, though this would seem impossible, got even louder and she began to grunt. Yes, grunt. It took Terrence a moment to get his bearings, but he launched into his character's long explanation of the prison camps to which all future humans had been sentenced. Terrence doubted, however, that anyone in the class could hear, as his partner breathed and grunted so loudly, then ultimately cried out in reaction to his dialogue. He had no idea what this girl was going for. She seemed to have gone insane. While Terrence had never claimed to be De Niro, this girl was just unbelievably awful. Over the top would be a huge understatement when describing the bizarre spectacle he was witnessing. He realized, though, that he needed to carry on as best he could. After all, a professional acting situation wherein he was opposite a bad actor was always a possibility. But damn, that was the hardest scene he had ever done. When they got to the part of the scene wherein her character has her first good look at his character's gunshot wound, this girl went into full-on berserk mode. She screamed, "Oh God!" Then she started to cry, a huge wailing cry, despite the fact that he told her it was only a minor wound. Her cries could probably be heard 3 blocks away. In short, it was the most amazing example of overacting that Terrence had ever witnessed. And it was not what he needed today. Terrence wasn't sure exactly what to expect when he arrived home and told his wife that he had quit his job. So, of course, before he could get up the nerve for that task, he first told her of his bizarre experience at the acting class. He joked that maybe he should take some paramedic training, as the next scene this girl did was likely to send her into a stroke. But after telling this tale, he finally got up the nerve to tell Melanie the news that he had quit his job. Though he knew that she was extremely supportive of his acting career, he had expected a big scene. She would surely be upset at this news. She would have every right to be upset at this news. Who wouldn't be? Really, what person would not be incredibly upset that a man with a wife and child had quit a perfectly good job? But when he told her, the explosion that he had expected simply didn't happen. There was a silent calmness to her, and she said nothing. After a few moments of silence, Melanie smiled. Then she reached out and hugged her husband. How unexpected. How beautiful.